Hello, welcome to another Purple Insider Extra. Matthew Coller here, along with Sam Ekstrom. Go to wherever you get your podcasts, type in Purple Insider to hear our longer conversations and interviews with great guests, and to read our written work, purpleinsider.substack.com. Okay, Sam, the 17th game is happening. The Vikings are going to play the Los Angeles Chargers for their extra game. Does this game help or hurt the Vikings' chances at making the playoffs?
I would say yes. I would say it would. Number one, this is the Chargers we're talking about. So there's probably not going to be a tremendous amount of Chargers fans in the stands. Vikings fans will travel well, provide a little bit of home field advantage, or at least level out the Los Angeles home field advantage. We saw this a couple of years ago when Vikings fans invaded the soccer stadium. I believe you were there, Matthew, for that. Quite the atmosphere. I think that's helpful. I think you're taking on, a second-year quarterback who was a rookie of the year, but also, was on a 7-9 team. They were 3-9 at one point, fairly unpredictable. The Chargers have constantly been among the more snake-bit teams when it comes to injuries. They're also riding with a new coach. So there's a lot of variables there, and I feel like the Vikings are a little more stable of an organization right now. So if you get that game earlier in the year, I think that's even better for the Minnesota Vikings.
I think it really depends on whether Justin Herbert can carry over what he showed in his first year. The sophomore slump thing does happen. It certainly doesn't happen to every quarterback, but it happened with Baker Mayfield when he went into year two. He didn't put up the same numbers he did or show the promise as a rookie, and it wasn't until year three that he took that step forward. They have a new coach there who is a defensive-minded head coach, so I don't know how their offense is going to adapt to their new coaching. And with Herbert, last year, he had a lot of statistical factors that point to the possibility of some regression, including that he was great under pressure. And that might speak a bit to his skill set, but it's usually hard to sustain that over a number of years as being a great under pressure quarterback. So I like his skill set, but I also think that there were some things when he was coming out of the draft that didn't show up that much in his first year that might eventually, as teams get a chance to game plan against him. So I don't think that the Chargers are a team you should be terrified of as we speak right now. But if Justin Herbert does take a big step forward, think about what Josh Allen did in year, I think, 2 to 3. Then he suddenly becomes a superstar. And that's what Justin Herbert has that capability of being because of his skill set, his arm strength, his playmaking. If that happens and you catch him midway through the season when he is ascending, that could be problematic for the Vikings. So I think whether this helps or hurts all ends up resting on the shoulders of Justin Herbert.
Yeah, the schedule dictates so much of it because if you get a team, like I said, early in the season that has a lot of moving parts, that can be good. And also, if you get a team at the end of a season, that has the potential to be very good too. Like the last time they played the Chargers, it was week 15. Chargers were pretty much buried, and the Vikings went in there and beat them by 29. It kind of depends on how, the Raiders and Broncos and Chiefs do. Like, are the Chargers going to be outmatched within their own division? Will they have fallen out of contention by that point? And Herbert will have a lot to do with that. But if they take on kind of a lackadaisical team late in the year when they're, let's say, 5-9 or something like that, that's going to increase a team's chances if they are indeed in contention like the Vikings plan to be. Justin Herbert is the most important piece of this. And as we see year to year, injuries play a huge factor as well. So we can project today, but it's difficult to foresee how he's going to do if he encounters any kind of injury difficulty in that sophomore year.
There's the Justin Herbert factor. There's also the Brandon Staley factor that he was running the number one defense in the NFL, and the Vikings in the Kirk Cousins era against very good pass defenses have struggled quite a bit. So that would be a concern too, as Brandon Staley is kind of owning that defensive genius label for at least right now. I think Aaron Donald may have helped just a little bit there. I'm just going to guess. Last question for you, Sam. Do you like that we now have a 17-game NFL season?
Change is always weird. I don't like that it's an odd number. I think we've gotten to a very comfortable place where a lot of the records that are reflected, in just historical precedent, it's all very even for the last 30, 40 years when they moved from 14 to 16. So anyone in this generation or the previous 2 or 3 generations of players, it was all an even playing field. I think this is just the first step toward an 18-game regular season. I strongly believe that they're not done, but they're just kind of, baby stepping it along so that the NFLPA will play ball with them. But I think that's where we're going. I think they'll probably reduce the preseason schedule to 2 games. So they're increasing the length of the season by an 1/8, which is going to drastically, like passing yardage is going to be up about 500 per season. Receiving yardage probably will start crossing 2,000 yards more frequently. Maybe even some ball carriers can get over 2,000 yards again, like Derrick Henry did last year. It's going to change the bar. We're going to have to sort of adjust the way that we view things. We're going to have to start looking at per game stats to compare historical precedent. And that makes things a little more difficult on us. But hey, it's more meaningful football, so can't complain too much about it.
I think the happiest person in the world should be Jeff Fisher, because no longer can teams go 8-8. I mean, that will determine, I bet, how a lot of owners and coaches and general managers and teams, franchises are viewed, whether they went 9-8 or 8-9, because 9-8 just seems so much better. You won more than you lost, as opposed to the 8-8, which felt just sort of sad. You're an 8-8 team, you're 500, and you're nothing better. So, well, teams will have a chance to be a little better than extremely mediocre. This has been another Purple Insider Extra. We will catch you next time.